Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Rally Podcast. We're back here with Mike White, Sean Boyer, and Logan Cornelius, your hosts. Uh, so today's topic is a pretty cool one, I think. I was actually writing a blog about this topic, but decided it might be better to talk it out. And the topic is old rules in Roundnet that might seem a little bit crazy now. The reason that I thought of this was at Southwest Sectionals, the college tournament last weekend. Someone came up to me, and I don't want to skew their words because I don't know specifically really what they were going for. It was a really quick conversation. They said that I don't think we should have the high rule where you can serve it too high. And I believe the premise was that if it pockets and it's high, it's a pocket. And most pockets are high, but if it's just a regular serve and it's high, you can chase it down. Um, I believe that was the basic premise. Like, if it pockets and it goes high, you can't really touch it and it's impossible to get. But if it's a legal serve and it's high, you usually should have the time to chase it down. I don't know the exact words. Maybe we can talk about that in a sec. But anyway, they got me thinking about one of the first times I ever played Roundnet. I think it was the third time I've ever played. I brought it on a little weekend trip with friends, and it was really windy on the beach, and our friend Jacob just spiked it on the serve way over our heads in the wind. And we were all just like, I don't, like, we were kind of mad at him for doing that, but we didn't actually know any rules about what that could do. So then, of course, a while later, we find out that you can't serve it higher than someone's head. But on that day, we're just like, Jacob, don't do that. So that got me thinking about old rules that might be crazy. And Sean and Logan have been around a long time, decent amount longer than me. So good to hear. It'll be good to hear their takes on some old rules. So let's start off with some serving stuff, because I know, Sean, you were kind of just saying that gentleman serve was what you did for a long time.
Yeah, we go the first few tournaments that I played in, it was still this gentleman sort of get it on the net. You're not trying to beat the guy, you're just trying to get the ball in play, and that was the standard. We've obviously progressed way further than that because we realized the offense has a clear advantage starting off a point, so you need to whip it at them. But the tournaments have changed drastically, and I'm sure we'll see that as we go over each of these rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, thinking back to my first tournament, I don't really remember what it said about serves because none of us could really serve that well. I knew we could drop it. I guess that was the only really thing that was a good serve. But something I do remember that I don't think was ever a real rule, and this was at a Harvard tournament. We'll get to that in a little bit. They made up a lot of rules. But it was Ian Golembeski was guilty of this. We would stand in normal spots, as you do in a round net game today, and Ian and his partner would stand kind of in between us and try to serve it like between us. And we were just really confused because that didn't make any sense, and I'm sure it didn't make sense to a lot of people, but that's what they did. They would stand together and try to serve between us, but that was never a real rule, so don't worry about that. So I was super confused, and then actually something else is when we went to Camp Birch Hill in 2015, the first one, Harding Brumby did a step out serve, and we were just like, you can't do that. He's being kind of a jerk right now. Like, should we tell him? Should we tell him like you can't do that? But it's like, wait, he's on a good team. He probably knows. It was like a weird thing. It was like he probably knows if he knows, or it was like either he's a good player, so he knows that you can serve like that and it's good, or the reason they're good is because he does these cheap serves that no one can do. But it was so funny because then after that, like the next tournament, we're like, oh, you can do that now. So there's just a couple of things with serving that if you don't really follow it, and I think today it's a lot better, but back in the day it was kind of confusing with what was good and what was not.
Yeah. Going like the first couple of tournaments I hosted, going back to gentleman serve, like that's how we played. It was all gentleman serve, and I'll let that lead into the story we were talking about earlier. Off screen, but yeah, so I think it was the second or third tournament I hosted when I was at A&M at school, and Zach Danilo was there, and his partner was supposed to meet him before the tournament, but he bailed on him, and so since I was so kind, I was like, you know what, you can just play by yourself, and so I let him be, a team of one, just assuming, oh, he'll get out like in the middle of the day and it'll be fine.
So what logistics did you set? Could he hit it 3 times? Was it like normal?
Yeah, I think he got 3 sets to himself. He got 3 touches to him. It was either 2 or 3, but I'm pretty sure it was 3.
Yeah,
That's not fair.
No, it's not. And then what makes it even less fair is that it was gentleman serve. So like you gentleman serve, and then it's way easier to set the ball to where you want it if you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And so he made it to the he didn't win it, but he made it to the championship, I believe, and got 2nd place playing by himself. Because I mean, he himself can like reach across the entire net.
Yeah.
Because he's like 7'10".
Well, to be honest, back then people were not as good. So, like, the reason you lose points is because people can't set the ball and things like that. Like, I know a lot of things today is mistakes, but it was not as difficult. Mistakes are like you have to have a perfect set, not like you need to set it towards the net at all. So, just him being a good player and playing by himself is just like actually such a clear advantage. It's funny.
Yeah. And he lost to the infamous Bro Bunnies. They took the first 3 tournaments at A&M. I'll never forget.
Did they ever come back?
After those, I think they graduated, and so then they weren't in College Station anymore.
Okay. That's
one for one.
That's just a crazy. So I mean, imagine today someone shows up, they don't have a partner, like Chris Hornacek at Huntington. Hey, you don't have a partner. You can just play by yourself, though. I think they would do significantly worse.
Hard serving it would be difficult.
Yeah, gentlemen's it would be a pretty good advantage.
Yeah, every game he won, my stomach just like dropped a little bit more. Like, wow, I ruined this tournament because I was trying to be nice.
Wait, how did teams feel when they lost to him? Like,
I mean, I to be honest, me and my partner lost to him because it's just like we weren't chasing down the ball, and it's like this blows. I felt like I needed to win to save my own tournament, and it just whizzed it by us. It was the worst.
That's crazy. That's funny.
Mike, one thing you reminded me of when you were talking back in the day, this was when we really weren't sure what direction to go. People were allowed to be defending team getting served to was allowed to have 2 people return it. So one person would stand close and one person would stand far away, and the server could hit it literally as hard or soft as they want with no punishment. But we quickly learned we didn't really like that. It was kind of weird, but that's probably what Ian was doing by trying to hit it between you guys. He might have thought you guys could both return it.
See, I think we might have been, but we'd never played like that, so we're kind of confused. But yeah.
Yeah, it didn't last long.
We always called.
All right, you're good.
Oh, yeah. We played that way at like one of the biggest tournaments like back in the day. We called them the Austin rules because it was the Austin tournament, an Austin, Texas tournament. So they made these rules where the other team or the other player could return a soft serve, not necessarily a hard serve, but you could come in. You still had to stand at the 4 corners of the net, where one person could come in and get the soft serve. So we always referred to those as the Austin rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So something like that reminded me of, Sean, is I would hear that when you and Handsome would make it to the finals, you would just play your own rules. So what rules would you change?
So I think probably the best example of this was out in Summer Spike, way back when some of the rules, they used to play side out scoring, so you'd only get a point when you're serving, and the games would be to 7. And obviously coming from the West Coast, this was ridiculous. We've never heard of this. We don't like it. So when we both made it to the finals, which we did more often than not, we would just play the finals as 20 games, 21, not scoring, and the rules that we liked, which was the case for a number of tournaments that we went to.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of the beauty of the story of the sport, though, and probably a lot of other sports, is all these regional or town-based rules that are then tossed together when you start having national tournaments or bigger scale. And that's what we have today, is this melody of different rules.
Yeah. Well, the first tournament I had was double elimination, best of 3 to 21, serve on your score on your serve. You can imagine how long that took. Well,
forever.
Yeah.
Because the games to 7 even took forever.
So that's the thing with serve to score. So with rally scoring, after 40 points, it's 21-19 for someone, or it's 20-20. And you're going to extras, and someone will eventually win. Longest we had was 55-53 in tournament. But with serve and score like that, games could theoretically last forever. But I think actually the worst case is games could last 2 minutes. You could go up 7-0 and your match is done right away, and that's just not really okay. Yeah, hey, oh, we lost these guys in 7 points. That's a lot
Yeah,
worse than, oh, this match took an hour because it was really close. I think the lowest part is the bad part.
yeah, and there's no really way to tell afterwards because I think the final score was Skylar and I won like 7-4 and 7-2, and it's like, what does that even really mean when it's side out? You can't tell how long the game lasted or how close it was or did we make a run and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Um,
That's
what's that?
so like, I mean, talking about like just like 7-0 and that being short, that just reminds me of like the first nationals. The first round of that was, I think it was like a best of 3 to 11. Like games were to 11. Like that nationals was crazy.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Santa Monica or Nashville?
Santa Monica. Nashville, I don't think it was big enough to have.
It's called like the pseudo nationals, but
Yeah, pseudo nationals.
I know what you mean.
Played with Scott Palmer there.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Interesting. Oh, so something else I wanted to bring up is that when we play 3v3 with sides a lot, we do like to sometimes play that anyone can return the serve. So therefore, if like you can just launch the serve really far, but you have someone that can go get it. So I would encourage people to try that rule when they're playing. Other news, I think there is in Southern California going to be a 3-on-3 with sides tournament. So look out for that.
All right.
But anyway, something else that I just remember is also talking about pockets. That's a big thing. A lot of people nowadays will be like, "Hey, so one of the biggest questions I get at trade shows is like, so what happens when it hits the pocket?" And I think a lot of people just kind of do it as a straight redo, and that's kind of what it was for a while. Anything that was a ridiculous pocket that would just go at a crazy angle, it was like, oh, that's unfortunate, and it ends the rally. Now today, you play those. A lot of them are roll-ups, so you can get them. A lot of them just kind of go the opposite way, and you kind of feel bad when you hit that, or you're pumped, both ways. But I do remember back in the day, if that happened, it was just a straight redo. And to me, that's kind of funny because I think something that might be kind of abusable nowadays. If it's like, all right, sweet, I'm just gonna go hit a pocket and we won't lose this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something else was that I remember on serves, at least before 2015, I would plan that on serves all pockets had to go forwards. So if you hit a pocket and it bounced backwards, that was not good. But if it pocketed and went forwards, it was good. Which I think kind of actually made a little bit of sense to me, but it was funny.
I think one important thing to also bring up, especially in regards to pockets, is the equipment over the years. Because the first combo meal set, because I mean now if you just enter the scene, there's pro sets at every tournament. We've got it pretty honed in. The net goes over the rim. Back in the day though, it had clips on the bar, and so the ball would usually hit clip if it were ever close to a pocket. And that led to even more ambiguity and arguments and stuff. So it's gotten better over time, but back in the day, it was really hard to tell.
Yeah, the clips are essentially an extended rim.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was so hard to keep the net even there too. So like it would just going on that like the clips were movable clips, so like it would make pockets even easier because like the net would be uneven.
Right. Yeah, there'd be two there, and then one right here, and then another one there. Yeah. It was that was funny. I think I only played like 2 tournaments, or maybe just 1 tournament before, or 2 tournaments before it got switched out to the 2.0 with the put over. But I know you guys probably played a lot more with it. And I remember we first got the new set that the net went over. It felt so weird to us because I think instead of pocketing, there were more roll-ups. And, which I think came out to be a good thing because, there are roll-ups, but there's less ambiguity on what's good and what's not. But we were so, kind of confused. And I think it came out maybe 4 or 5 months before we actually, liked using it. Same thing kind of with the Pro set where I wasn't used to that for a long time.
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one new rule recently was you can't touch the net, But back in the day, touching the net, even if you kicked it like 6 inches out of the way, midpoint, the defensive team would just try and put it back in the same place so the offensive team wouldn't be disrupted. And that would be totally legal. It was just kind of like play it on the fly and hope it doesn't affect the play too much.
The most famous one, there's a video from Nationals 2015, and Austin Fraker of Buns and Guns kicks it maybe 4 or 5 feet and just puts it back while they're going to get the ball. And it just like looks so ridiculous. We actually had kind of trouble with that at the end of 2015. I remember it was a small tournament in Connecticut, and twice it was in the same game, Dylan Fogarty and I both kind of grabbed the netting and moved the net, and we didn't know what to call it. Of course, the rule didn't come for like 2 years after that, but we both, I think so mine was like a redo, so his was a redo, but it was like, they were kind of different, and I was just kind of frustrated, but it was never really a big enough deal to do that. And I think it also happened at Nationals, so it actually was kind of funny to me that I never like brought that up. It was just like, it's probably okay. And also like it came up multiple times in 2015. In 2015, I remember at the Boston Grand Slam. Oh no, the Boston Tour Stop. My partner John Mantega kind of grabbed the net as he hit it, and we had like a 10-minute argument over it. And overall, we read the rule, and it said if you touch the net in any way or move the net in any way. And it was like, that's okay, but then it still took a long time for people to like call it and for it to be even more strict. That was just a funny progression. But, that's how it works. Sean, other thing that you brought up pre-show was pockets or roll-ups that went over your head. Or just any hit that went over your head.
Oh, yeah. So this was I don't even know if it was ever really an official rule, but it's one we played by where the ball can double hit the net if on the bounce it goes over the team's head. So that would mean that it's a legal ball and they have to play it. But of course now if it ever double hits the net, it's considered done. But it was kind of weird back in the day trying to figure out, like, did that go above his head? Should he have played that? It was almost like a gentleman's rule of if you have a chance to play it, you should keep the point going, but now it's just like let it bounce twice.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
It doesn't sound terrible in practice.
No,
it wasn't. It wasn't a bad rule at all. It was kind of nice to help the play go, but like if we think now in the national tournament championship point, are you going to let that bounce twice, or are you going to play it and get the chance to
players
make
are
it
ducking?
Back?
No, yeah, it wasn't over my head.
we had to get rid of it in a competitive sense.
Yeah, that's pretty funny to me.
Makes sense.
So, one other thing that was prevalent at 2015 Nationals was rock, paper, scissors for cleats. So the real big thing was R.I.P. Brady Smith and Kyle Kirkman, because Brady has huge feet, very tall guy, and he was saying it's very expensive for me to go get cleats, so I'm playing barefoot. And all of these teams that went out and got cleats are like, we're playing on grass, it's cold, we're going to wear our cleats. But the rule was that you could play rock, paper, scissors before the match. If the cleated team wins, the barefoot players have to play at their own risk. If the barefoot team wins, they got to take off their cleats. I remember TPCV, Victor and Zach were significantly not happy about that. And then I think in a couple of their later matches, the cleated team won, and they had to play barefoot. But I think there was a lot of tension that day about that rule. Yeah.
It's just a crazy rule thinking back on.
But I think they were just trying to get in people's heads. So Skylar and I actually lost to them in Rochambeau, and I had to take my cleats off and start playing after.
In what? In the semifinals?
Whenever we played them, it must have been the semis.
Yeah.
Because they were doing a tear through all the West Coast teams.
Yeah.
And then they got to us, and we lost in the cleat Rochambeau, and then had to play barefoot. And I remember my feet being like, "This is cold," but we beat them, so it worked out. I think they're just trying to psych people out.
Yeah. It was just so it's just kind of weird that it was. I mean, maybe it was that West Coast dominance of the game that people don't need to wear cleats. But it's just crazy that it's like, nah, this equipment that helps your game You can't wear it. You can't.
No. Yeah,
Like,
I'm that same way. There are like so many people that I would play with that were like so resistant, like, oh, it's ridiculous that people are wearing cleats. Like, you don't need to wear cleats. And I felt like the first time I wore cleats, I was kind of like stepping on this like sacred ground, like with cleats. And it's like, it helps you play. It doesn't make sense not to wear
like,
cleats.
why not wear cleats?
Yeah, I was almost like, I was like
I'll ask you guys,
chastised for wearing them.
where do you draw the line, though? Because what if someone started wearing gloves? It's performance enhancing. Like, of course, football allows cleats and gloves, but in a sport like spike ball, do we allow really adhesive gloves for that extra touch?
I would allow it.
I don't know. I've seen people wear some gloves when it's cold out. I think cleats are a completely different level because cleats are used in like every sport to help you run, and I think like it's a very central. That's like saying in like I don't know in another sport you just can't wear sneakers. Like cleats are a little different, but I just think it's a very central equipment to any sport.
But I would also say in spike ball, like the interaction with the ball is much more similar to that of a quarterback in football rather than a receiver. And a quarterback never wears like an adhesive glove on his throwing hand, just because like that interaction, like with the hand and the fingers and the movement of that is a lot more important. I've never done extensive testing in like receiver gloves, but I haven't been a huge fan of it when I have.
So one other thing is that the cleats, because people do interact with other players' feet, then it is a bit different than gloves. I mean, as far as play-wise, it's like, I mean, there were dangers of people stepping on each other's cleats, but also isn't that just like that? I guess that just happens all the time with any type of close-knit sport like that. Even if people wearing sneakers, even if people wearing other cleats, stepping on someone's feet aren't good. I don't know. All right, gloves. I played once with gloves, and it feels really clunky, and I don't think it is helpful. If anything, it would be helpful for defensive touches, but I think it's hurtful for hitting. So I think because you, like Logan said, you lose that touch that you had. So I think actually the negatives might outweigh the benefits.
Maybe I'll dedicate my 28th season to playing with receiver gloves. It'll just be a giant experiment.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for some team to roll out and start beating other teams with gloves on, and then we're going to have this conversation.
Well, yeah, but it's in the rules that the TD can say no, so we could just say no the day of and then deal with it after.
Why? But why not? Why not just accept it?
I don't know. Well, so we don't know if it gives an advantage or not.
That's true.
So I don't think we could allow it right away.
Yeah, we can save the conversation for a different day.
Yeah. Well, I think so. If something like that happened, I think we maybe would have to say you cannot. I mean, maybe we'll have this conversation right now. But I feel like the right way to approach that situation would say, like, sorry, you can't, and then spend some time playing with it before making a decision. I don't think we can, like, allow it without anything.
I don't know. I think it's the opposite.
You think we just allow it, and then what if it's
like,
what if they're, like, super good and they win, and it's like, well, that was dumb letting them wear those?
Well, it's kind of, I mean, like, they go back to like Chaos winning the tour stop because of their wide step serving. It's like we can't say, "Oh wait, we're not used to this. You can't do that today."
But like, those serves were legal in the rules. Like it doesn't.
Gloves aren't illegal in the rules.
But like their serves followed the characteristics of a good serve. There's no like you can wear gloves where it does say like you can wear cleats.
All I'm saying is, kids, go purchase receiving gloves and wear them at every tournament.
Sounds like I asked the right question.
Yeah, you got a lot, because I also think it's dumb that you're comparing that to wearing cleats, because I think everyone should just wear cleats, and she should not be not allowed to wear cleats.
Rock, paper, scissors for gloves. If gloves win, the other team plays at their own risk.
So like, yeah, so that's the thing, is that you wearing gloves doesn't affect the other team's ability to play, and you saying I'm playing barefoot so you have to does not affect that. I mean, at nationals, so this is a weird case, but you know, since we're inside, didn't allow cleats, and Matt Rusinski was like, hey, I am recovering from an injury, I need to wear my cleats. And it's so that's one thing too. I don't really like playing barefoot because I feel like I'm going to hurt my ankle. So that's one thing too. But yeah, I don't know. So I guess that was a good little question, Sean.
Tangent.
We'll see what the people think. We'll see what the people think.
I don't want us to leave this conversation without hearing y'all discuss the infamous Harvard rules.
Okay. Yes. Wow, we've actually been talking for a lot longer than I thought. So, the two Harvard exclusive rules. So, back in the day in the East Coast, Harvard was where it was at. They had a tournament, in the spring and the fall. So, two of their crazier rules that I've not seen replicated anywhere else was one, body touches did not count as a touch. So, you could go up and you could body it and then pass it up. Or the funniest occurrence would be if you already used all three of your hits and you would just like try to kick it back to the net to your partner. And this is what was funny. There is some footage. I could post that in the description of this. But it just always looked so funny to see someone just like swinging and just doing all this dumb stuff. And I really don't think it ever had that much of an effect. The biggest effect would be if you get a body up to your partner across, like you get your 3 touches from that. But I think like hitting it up and then passing it wasn't as much of an advantage. It was more about because nowadays you'll get a touch, it'll go right to your partner, you'll set it back to them, and they have to like really react quick and crush it on. Where back then it was like up, nice and easy. All right, so what were your thoughts, Sean? Did you play the Frozen Chosen with that?
Yeah, I did, and you're right. It didn't happen as often as you'd think, but it caters to up-close defense and getting your body. I do remember one time watching it happen, a guy ran down a ball and kicked it up, and his teammate could go and just take a hit, and they had 3 total, which made the whole series a lot easier. But at the end of the day, I think it's a little ridiculous. I don't think it should be allowed, especially because people are getting so good with their feet these days.
Yeah.
That's like having 4 touches.
Yeah.
Or 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 7. Yeah. Like literally, people would just like hit it up with their knee and then dive and hit it with their other knee, and it's just yeah.
You have these soccer players come in and just juggle the ball back to the net and then use all 3 touches.
Yeah. I think it would be a fun variation. I don't think it is necessary, but it would make defense better. Isn't that what we want? What if the rule is you can have 4 hits, or you can have 3 hand touches and then a body touch?
That could be a tournament variation. I'd play in it.
I would too.
I feel like that could help defense. You can go for that body touch, but like so as I was saying, the best case scenario, you get that nice body up, you're in a very good spot.
Do you know for these rules what was
I think
outside
literally
the arm
anything
body?
except for a hand.
So forearm,
okay.
bicep, it could just.
I thought so.
Jeez.
I mean, so let's assume it's not, and let's assume it's just like elbow below is bad. Yeah, let's assume that. Still leaves a lot of room to get some body D.
That was every time we played and we did something crazy. Like none of us had gone to that tournament, but we would always just yell like Harvard rules and just like. Like if something happened and it clearly wasn't a good play, but we just wanted to like play through for fun, we'd just yell Harvard rules and keep going. Or like if it like would bounce and we'd still play, no matter what it was, we would just yell Harvard rules. It's kind of like the hall pass.
Wow. So the other Harvard rule, and I hope I'm not missing even other ones, but is that you could set picks. So I could set it to Sean and just set a pick here, and he could just hit it right past me, and they can't get there. It's the complete opposite of how we run Roundnet today. And to be honest, it just sounds kind of dangerous. Like, I'm trying to just get past and get to that ball. I'm just going to try to run right through you.
I don't. That sounds fun to me. I don't know about you.
I feel like someone's just going to, like, break a face. Someone's going to just turn and try to get it and just get an elbow in the jaw.
Yeah, that's what we need, more concussions.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I feel like they, like, in theory, I get where it came from. They're trying to do the same thing as basketball, but out there, like, when you're not looking and you're diving for a ball, trying to make a defensive play, and someone's just standing there, there's so many more injuries that could happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, with like, so I could see both ways. Like, it's a very in-close sport, so picks make sense, but it also doesn't because people are just gonna collide. And
Yeah.
the other thing is that tournament, I don't think the other team used them at all because we just didn't try to use them. We're like, this is weird. I don't even know what to do. Like, we're just gonna play. And same with the body touches. And everyone wants like, you should have kicked that up. I'm like, oh, sure. Sure, I should have tried to kick it up. But hey,
Just
so we
think
gotta
how, like,
wonder, were the Harvard kids better, or did they just know all the crazy rules?
that's the point of the Harvard rules. Give them the advantage.
That's
They didn't win that tournament, but I think a Harvard team made it to the finals.
yeah.
And who won that tournament?
I think a team called Chico Spikeball.
Hey, so so how did Chico Spikeball get the 1 seed at the Frozen Chosen in 2013?
So yeah, another crazy rule that isn't around anymore. I don't even know if it
It
called
wasn't
a rule,
even a
but
rule. It was just like a TD
exception.
An exception. Yeah.
So what had happened is Skylar and I were planning on playing it. I had showed up on Friday or something with a couple buddies. Tournament was on Saturday. Skylar had been working a trade show the day before, and he was flying out of Texas trying to get out there, but there's a huge storm. Their planes got delayed. They couldn't leave until the next day. They ended up missing their next flight, had to catch another one. So he didn't show up until maybe noon or 1 p.m., right when bracket play was starting. I had just been hanging around all day watching people play, and the TD decided to still give us the 1 seed going into bracket play for whatever reason, whether it was just feeling bad that we traveled cross country and that things were working out, or just felt like we were going to get it either way. I don't know. But I'm not sure how other teams felt. We took the 1 seed, we played, we ended up winning it. I had a blast.
Imagine that.
That's
But I don't think that would happen at a tournament today.
No.
Imagine like just in general showing up to a tournament today and like just learning that there's all these crazy rules and just like having to figure out how to take advantage of the rules and play that tournament, like not going into it not expecting it at all.
Well, that's kind of how it was back then, because like
Yeah.
we'd fly out to tournaments that we'd never been to, meeting people we'd never played with before, and
I
you
bet.
show up in the morning of announcements where, yeah, we play A, B, and C, and you're like, what? But you adapt.
Yeah. That reminds, like, not a tournament, but over the summer, I was actually kind of upset because we didn't have our spike ball set with us on the beach, but these guys down the beach did. So Nick Sand and I went up and just said, "Hey, can we play?" Or I think we had 4, so we're like, "Hey, can we play?" And then afterwards, they wanted to play, and then I don't know if they like told us any rules right at the start, but like I don't know. I think maybe we served it a little hard, and then they're just like, "Oh yeah, we just like usually serve it right to them." Or like, and so like every time some little thing would happen, we would just kind of wait for them to make the ruling and just kind of played by their rules, and it was completely fine. But it was just like, all right, let's see how they play it, because I'm sure it's very different from how we play it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. Yeah, it was fun.
I think one of the best things I've seen or heard in regards to how certain people play a certain way, this would be a good way to close this or bring this all together, is someone sent in an Instagram message to the Spikeball account, and they're just telling us how they play, and they like to play with power-ups, as they call them. And so they listed out like 1 through 10 power-ups that at any point in a certain game you could use them, and they range from like this next point is going to count as 2 points, or on this next time people can only use their offhand, or only the defense can use their offhand, or you get 1 bounce, or you can catch it and then throw it, or you can call freeze and the other team has to stop. I was just this like sort of fun
The freeze
little
got
twist.
me. The freeze got me.
Yeah, so it almost became this chess match of when you use certain power-ups to get the advantage in the game. But I would encourage
awesome.
people out there to try that at their next practice and just see if they can have some fun with it.
Oh,
That
Super
sounds
Mario
awesome.
Roundnet.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's just for the Spikeball video game coming out. Get all these power-ups.
Dude, But
yeah.
just I always imagine what it'd be like to play where like if it's a really long ball where you have to track down, if you're allowed to like jump and catch the ball to keep it alive, and then you can like kind of like have like a toss and set it back. But that would be a fun way to play where if it's going really long, you can like dive and lay out and just catch it, and that
Yeah.
keeps it alive.
Yeah.
It would be like once you get outside a certain perimeter, you're allowed to catch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And you have to
Crazy.
like everyone pauses and they set it from where it went. But so that just like that's just the thing. Like at one tournament, I think I called like one bounce as a joke and then let it bounce and hit it, and someone was just like, "Oh, is that a thing?" And I'm like, no, but it's like, I mean, I just did it, so like, I'm not faulting you for thinking that, you know.
Dude, you're Mike White. They have to listen to you. You're on the podcast.
Yeah, like this
True.
guy talks, he says stuff, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I have all the authority. I can make all the rules. Oh, I did joke about that. So when Skylar and I were playing this weekend, I was saying, um, not that I can actually do this because there's a lot more people on the board. Just put in a rule that says that serve was a pocket, and just every time that they're serving, just implement that rule, and then just retract it every time I'm serving, and we just win every game. I'd be like, nah, that was a pocket. It's in the rule. It says that serve was a pocket.
I'm going to have to talk about Jack about getting you removed from the board, Mike.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea, Sean.
Oh, wow. And then we're going to add the one bounce rule. Get excited for picks coming up at the Atlanta Tour stop. Body touches won't count on all stand tournaments. Both players can return the serve, but only if it's a step out or a flango. And we're doing serve to score. Serve to score to 21 because we want. This is it. If there aren't enough rallies in the game, just make there more points in the game, bigger chance of rallies. Right now, 3 rallies a game. If games last an hour and a half, we're gonna have like 6 rallies a game. Bring those numbers up.
Don't increase the percentage of rallies. Just increase the number of rallies.
Look at the right stats. You don't gotta look at percentage.
Exactly.
You don't gotta look at percentage. We could just say,
exactly.
hey, we just doubled rallies in 2018.
Oh,
that was fun.
You're brilliant, Mike.
Brilliant. And also, you just get rid of rim calls, and we can say, wow, so many serves are non-rims these days. It's all about the metrics. Sorry, that went anywhere. Hey, but there were some funny rules.
So, yeah,
we've come a long way.
But so like, one last thing is that I think a lot of things. So the reason that I was kind of confused about rules is because I would go to one tournament every 6 months, and then when I started to go into more, it was like, okay, there's more of a standard, akin to, was that a pocket, was that a rim, and some things like that. Was that a hinder, was that not? And rules can only, they're just words. The biggest thing is like implementation. Like this pro set has the ball ring, and so see how big it is. But really, what determines if it's good or not is all the players being like, oh yeah, this is a good ball, I agree. So I think nowadays, more just besides just the more detailed rules, people going to more tournaments and playing more with people that do kind of get a better understandings for the rules and the standards that we play at. So looking back, it really wasn't that ridiculous. There wasn't much going on.
It's just growth period.
Like what's wrong with Harvard having all these rules? They're the only tournaments. There's Summer Spike and there's Harvard tournaments. Why don't they just do their own thing? It's just
That's what it was. I would agree with all of it except the picks.
There's no standards. Yeah, the picks. Okay, Sean. All right, we'll play a tournament with picks and we'll see if you like it.
Okay.
So but picks.
I'm in.
Picks, but you can't wear cleats because you might step on their feet.
Safety first.
Yeah, or big puffy jackets because those are bigger picks. But anyway, all right, that was pretty good. That was way longer than I expected.
I knew we'd be able to chat it up. This is a fun topic.
Yeah, that's fun. So maybe I'll post.
Comment below the crazy rules that you know about.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Wow, trying to get that interaction up, Sean.
Oh yeah.
Comment, like, subscribe.
I am curious though. I want to hear about some rules people have played that maybe we don't know about. That'd be fun.
True.
Yeah, like one thing Ian Golombeski said last closing was that when he played at college, everyone would get 2 serves in a row, and so instead of serving and hitting. Oh, Sean, one thing we didn't mention was that you would just serve to the same person every time. You wouldn't switch with your partner after you get a point.
Yeah, I would take a serve, I'd hit it to Logan, and then I'd pass it to my partner if we won the point, and then he would or serve it to you, Mike, if you guys were a team, and we just go back and forth. So I could just, let's say I'm the better player than Logan, hypothetically, and I
not true though.
All right, let's not get to
and I serve it
fairy
to him,
tales.
and so I could just pick on him. Like if there was a better matchup, then that's why we started implementing. You switch to the partner you serve to, so you can't just bully one team.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right, let's close with that. Thank you guys for listening. Definitely let us know any crazy rules that you guys used to play with or still do. Maybe you just play with your friends and you have this rule that, you know, if it goes the X amount of distance, you can catch and throw it like Logan wants. But
maybe you have the answer to extending rallies.
Yeah, actually, like a joke maybe, but like not actually. People got some crazy ideas nowadays.
That's true.
And you know, guys, since this is on YouTube, give us a like down below. Comment rules that you guys do. And if you want to get the next Rally podcast, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Get notified by hitting the bell. I'm just doing my YouTube spiel. I feel kind of weird doing that, but it might help. I think it's scientifically proven that saying, hey, hit that like button, you get more likes. So let's
but you can't talk about it right after you say it, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to just be transparent. I'm trying to be transparent to the viewers.
That's what the people want.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to hit subscribe, and I'm not even watching it on YouTube right now. That's how convincing
it's
you are.
It's also scientifically proven that if you're more transparent with your audience, then they'll like all your stuff. And if you say the word like 6 times in the last minute, they'll remember to do it. So,
like.
All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Sean and Logan, and we will see you next week. Peace.
See y'all later.